Good afternoon, and welcome to the Subterranean event. I am so happy to be here today, because today marks our first year of Subterranean Research Base being open for the public. We have so much to talk about today, but first, we want to take a trip down memory lane to see how it all started with Codename Septo. Back in 2019, we hosted our first annual Discover Aspire keynote event. During the event, we announced Codename Septo was in development. From here on out, we have showcased what Codename Septo was going to be. On April 30th, 2020, we have released a Subterranean Research Base to the public as beta. In fact, I am standing here on the first public build of Subterranean Research Base, Beta 1.0, the foundation release. We have come a long way. Beta 1.0 had the bare minimum. There was no temperatures, there was no walkie-talkies, interactivity was minimum, there was no combustion or even thermal runaway. It's amazing to see how far we have come from Beta 1.0 to Beta 1.3, the latest and greatest. Because today is a special day, we want to go back in time to see how far we have come from Beta 1.0 to what we have now. Before we continue, take a look behind me. That was our old mission statement we used in 2020. 2020 has been a very interesting year for many people out there. But this hasn't stopped developers from creating games for the community to enjoy. I'll let you take a look at the old mission statement before we move on to the first segment of reliving the moment. We'll take a look at our old build of Subterranean Research Base, and more. Now here's a quick reminder. If you're watching the event as a replay, don't forget that we have timestamps in the description if we want to get to the point of today's event. Without further ado, let's go and take a look at Beta 1.0, the foundation release. Hello and welcome to Beta 1.0, the foundation release. We're going to take a trip down memory lane to see how much has changed from 1.0 to the current version, which is 1.3. Right off the bat, the intro itself hasn't changed as much because we don't feel that we should keep changing the intro for every update or so, but take a look at the old interface we had here. Yeah, it looks really different than what we have today. In fact, if you don't know, this is revision 1000, version 1.0. This is the version that we released to the public on April 30th, 2020. So without further ado, let's start by the play button. In fact, it was so basic, that's the spawn point you have right here. In fact, the UI looks very basic, it doesn't show the details of for said spawn point. Products hasn't changed often, but there you go. Feedback, you can now send feedback. Options look really basic. We only had like one option to disable and enable the intro, but you guys have a lot. Performance is nothing, and audio, you can turn off the UI sounds and stuff like that, but that's pretty much it. About says exactly right here about the SRB. Donate, you can donate to like many Roblox here, but without further ado, let's start at the surface. So yes, here we are at Subterranean Research Base version 1.0, the foundation release. The terrain itself looks really different than we have today, because back then it was very chunky, it was big, and like it has like volcanoes that we don't have anymore. But the stop signs like that, I don't know why it's that, but the SRB was in development when the grass technology wasn't enabled. But when we enabled the grass feature, we didn't know how to remove the grass from the sidewalk, so there's some like visual glitches here and there. But with the help from the Roblox dev forum community, we were able to fix it up quickly in the next build of the SRB. So we used to have a cargo parking here, but we moved that in later versions. The picture park looked the same of what we had before. Nothing has changed except like the grass colors and all that stuff. So let's start and let's go to the admin complex. But the admin complex has, well, pretty much the basic functionalities you can find. Like you got the front desk, the restrooms there, and the security room. But as I said, this is the first build that's really basic. It has a bare minimum functionalities to it, which you'll see in a bit. So this is the restrooms. There you go. Here's the restrooms and all that stuff. The female look the same, but I'm not going in there. But it does look the same in the male's bathroom, just without the urinals. Yeah, and also there's medkits. Yeah, medkits has been added to the game during development. But there you go. So I got the medkit in my inventory. But since I'm not injured, I won't be able to use it as I see here. So I guess I'll keep it. So this is the offices at the admin complex. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the surface, I would say. Other than that, let's go to the visitors hub or the visitors reception. This is the visitors hub and reception. We have those bubbles, but we removed it in later versions. So hello and welcome to the Discover codename. Yeah, when is this next update going to come? Depends. Maybe try being patient. So we have this here, but we removed the bubble because no one uses them at all. But we do have plans to completely revamp them in the later versions of the SRB. But yeah, let's go down to the underground complex. So yeah, this is the Sector A, or the underground complex here. The scenery looks really different than what we have today. The universe itself hasn't changed as often. But we can go to the Subterranean station, and there it is. It's the Subterranean station, and not much has changed from the look of it. The cafeteria looks the same. Not much to write home about, but yeah. Sector A looks really different. Well, not really different, but as you can see, we got the Aspire Theater. Since this game was released on 2020, we were getting ready for Discover Aspire 2020, which we already did, and it was a really good event. In fact, if you haven't checked it out, we uploaded the full screen replay for you to enjoy. There's a statue here, and there's a conference room, which you can like do some conference and important work here and there, and all that good stuff. Sector A hasn't changed as much for the later versions, but Sector A will be having a makeover in the later versions of the SRB, and which we are very excited to be showing you in the future. But yeah, the Aspire Theater, not much has changed, and yep, looks like we're getting ready for the big event. In fact, Discover Aspire 2021 is set to be broadcasted in June, so if you're ready to watch the event, you are free to do so. The wall color looks the same from Sector A, which we don't have in later versions. We got the cargo and delivery sector, which looks really basic, and the only thing that you can do and restock is the medkits. So yeah, I'll demonstrate to you right now. So we added the whole restocking thing during the development of the SRB. So pretty much you just there you go. You can just restock the medkit feature, and I'm pretty sure all the facilities out there are taking inspiration of that and implementing it in their own game, which we're happy to see. Parking, which we removed in later versions, but this used to be the parking for Subterranean research base. The storage room looks really cozy in here and dark, but this is what the storage room looks like. And of course the restroom is over there, but you already know what the restrooms look like, so we don't need to go over there. Sector B. So what we used to have is a server and data management. Due to performance reasons, we temporarily removed it, but we do have plans to re-add it in the future, but we are not really sure. The Subterranean Central looks the same. Laboratories, oh my goodness, the laboratories look so different. There was no plant research, there was no heat shed research, and it looks so different than what we have today. But yeah, there is no 16-inch fused workshop. This lab is still vacant. The metallic injection was removed, and the speed testing has been revamped for future labs. But yeah, that's what we have here so far. Next up is the good old main elevators, or the sub-level elevators. Oh yeah, the aquarium here that we don't have anymore, but yeah, there's just stairs to elevators that we removed starting beta 1.3 because it really doesn't make any sense. So there's the offices that we also moved, and there's the elevators. This is the old-fashioned elevators we had since the development of Codename Zepto. Yeah, it has the old elevator music and all that old stuff, but hey, that's what we have so far. And for those of you wondering, this is the old menu interface. It looks really basic. There's no shadows or animations to it at all. It's just simple. Like you can just change them from here and there and stuff like that. But there it is. There's a sub-level, or shall we say the subfloor one, reactor database. And yeah, there was no reactor breakaway. Nope, there was no maintenance. There was no all that stuff like that. It was simple, really simple. The reactor is there, and the only thing that we added is the ability to start it up. So speaking about starting it up, I'll let you enjoy the very old cutscene, and yeah, enjoy. So as you just saw, that was the first cutscene that the public was able to see. Other than that, the temperature system wasn't fully implemented, the radioactivity and voltage and all that stuff, and well, this is really basic. You can't do brakes or cracked or chamber alarm, and you can like change the thermal control panels since that wasn't added, but this is what beta 1.0 or the foundation release looked like. It was really basic. It only had the bare minimum gameplay functionalities added to it, and yeah, this is pretty much it. But since today's a special day, I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what it looked like with free cam. So there was no bricks right here, and yeah, there's nothing here, so there's like no hash match or anything like that. The LPU looked really basic. There's no background audio or background ambient noises. Inside looked really hollow than what we had today, but yeah. This is sub-level or subfloor 1. Up here, this is what it looks like up here and stuff. Yeah, and I mean that's codename Zepto, or the first release of the SRB. Oh yeah, this cave thing was added, and we do plan on re-adding it back. The reason why we moved it temporarily was due to performance reasons, but we will re-add this nice view area here when the time comes. So Sector C looks the same, not much has changed except the medical bay and all that stuff, but other than that. And Sector D looks really basic, actually. So this is Sector D. Not much has been added since. There was no coolant pumps. That's nothing there. And there is no such thing as the coolant filtration. That has been added. So that's how basic DSRB 1.0 really is. There's no generators too. So when people started up the reactor or the LPU, that's pretty much it. They only just saw the light photon unit and the medkit features and all that stuff. Speaking about medkits, if you don't know what the medkits are used for, let's just let's take some damage from everyday scenarios, I would say, where let's just say you're walking down the Subterranean hall and you decide to touch the electricity or the pantograph. So that's one way to get damage. So if I can actually do that, like that, or that's 9 now, so let's do it again, or like that. Use the medkit feature here, and the medkit successfully healed you. Now this was a very old medkit that it healed you a lot than what we had before. So yeah, that's what the medkits are used for. So you can like, do this and play around with the medkits feature and all that stuff, and there you go. The medkits has successfully healed you. But that's all I can say for beta 1.0 of DSRB. But we're not done yet. Let's take a look at beta 1.1, the environmental update, the first feature update for DSRB. Okay, you don't have to do that. Okay, that was so close. I did not mean... Okay. Hello and welcome to the first ever feature update for Subterranean Research Base, Beta 1.1, the environmental update. This update brings a new lighting system to DSRB and some new features that many people were waiting for. But without further ado, the whole interface looked the same and not much has changed except the revision number and version 1.1. So first and foremost, let's start with the surface. So yes, for the first noteworthy change was the new lighting technology. In fact, there was a technology called atmosphere, where custom skyboxes can use the atmosphere to make some pretty cool effects to it. Not only that, the menu interface now animates in, instead of like appearing like statically, but this is the surface with the new lighting feature. We also added like sun rays and all that good stuff. Yeah, so the second new noteworthy change was the introduction of a more helpful medkit feature. Because since we're working on restocking of the game mechanics. And oh, by the way, we got new door effects and door sound effects that you guys have on beta 1.3. So yeah, I got the med kit here. I can't use it because I look fine, but if I were to click on it, it's out of stock and gives the players some detailed information on how to restock the med kits. So people just don't leave it as like blank and stuff like that. But as you can see, oh, this is the version that we're getting ready for the pre-sale. Yeah, since we released the event, not the event, the update. This is what the set used to look like for Discover Aspire 2020. Beta 1.1, the environmental update, was a very small feature update. I mean, the revision number, I mean, we only had like 22 changes and that's pretty much it. Yeah, the revision number counts how many changes we applied for DSLB as a whole. For 1.3, what we guys have is probably revision 1700. The wall color for Sector B looks different, other than just looking at like the same thing color of Sector A. As you can see, we got the same elevators here, so there's nothing to write home about. We did do small improvements to the LPU startup, which I will show you that in a minute. But as you can see, we got the same elevator music that you all know and love. So yeah, this is subfloor 1 React database, and the wall look the same, but it looks a lot darker now because the reactor isn't started. Now you get the idea. The startup hasn't changed as much, but we did do some bug fixes here and there to make it work as expected. But yeah, this is beta 1.1, the environmental update. The temperature wasn't added, the radioactivity wasn't added. Again, it was a very small update, not much to write home about. Let's take a look at beta 1.2, the collaboration update, right now. Hello and welcome to beta 1.2, the collaboration update. This is the first major feature update we've released for our community. We have so much to talk about for beta 1.2, so let's get started. Right off the bat, we got the new intro cutscene, but other than that, it looks the same and, well, the same UI, but as you can see, the revision has changed dramatically than revision 1022. The UI looks the same here, so let's go ahead and start at the Universal Shop area. So with this update, we got rid of the top bar, which most games no longer use anymore. But other than that, we got some 2 additional gears in our hotbar. We got the hazmat, which I'll take a look at that shortly. And we got the new walkie-talkie, which I'll go ahead and turn on to see. As you can see, the walkie-talkie is enabled, and its purpose is to alert group members who have the walkie-talkie enabled of the updates of the facility. So let me go ahead and turn that off for now. So right off the bat, we got a new scenery here, and we added some details like textures to the wall, instead of like looking all plasticky and all that boring stuff. Other than that, the menu interface looks the same, but we got some options that you can change, such as instant respawn, mecha sharing, that good stuff. Because we were working on beta 1.2, this update was announced on Discover Aspire 2020, which all members were able to enjoy. Speaking about beta 1.2, this update was the most, well, I would say the most hyped up update. It got a lot of attraction and a lot of attention because it not only was the first update to bring the new temperature system, but more in-game mechanics that I am very excited to show you. Speaking of which, we added details like added more plants around the facility so it doesn't look too plain and jarring. The elevators looked and performed as expected, but other than that, let's take a look at sublevel 2 or subfloor 2 instead of subfloor 1. First and foremost, we had the restrooms and there's a new reactor breakaway. But we'll take a look at the reactor breakaway shortly. Right off the bat, we did some updates to the interface, and oh, yeah, I got the unlucky floor. Maybe karma does happen to me, but as you can see, I got the unlucky floor. But why is it important? Can you just start up the reactor without those fuses? Well, good question. You cannot. Yep, that's right. You cannot start up the LPU without all the fuses intact. In fact, it actually shows you there are 0 fuses. So let's get to work. The new LPU breakaway was added to perform maintenance with the LPU reactor. So this is the new spare parts area, and there it is. I can like grab 4 fuses to start working on the new LPU. And yeah, you cannot grab more than 4. And those are the wrenches, yeah. And you can place the wrenches back and restock it when it's gone. And you can like dispose the LPU fuse there or something like that. However, the LPU fuse disposal bin wasn't added on 1.1.2. It was added on beta 1.2.1, which offers more stability improvements and the ability to restart the LPU when you terminate it. As shown in Discover Aspire 2020, this is the changing room or the changing hazmat, and let me just put on my hazmat suit. So as you can see, I have my hazmat suit on, and I will show you the pants, but Roblox somehow didn't load the pants, so you just gotta live with it. And my clothes are in the locker, so you can just get that for now. So let's go to the LPU chamber and put the new fuses in. With the yeah, I've heard many people that doesn't like the sound effect. It sounds like a garage door opening actually. But let's go to the LPU chamber. When we released beta 1.2, we had around 80 players playing at once. They were able to fix the LPU and replace the fuse and all that stuff. And oh, I forgot to open the LPU. I'll be right back. Okay, with the power of editing, we're able to open the light photon unit here. So with this here, we got 4 empty slots here. So I can just put the fuse in, and it places nice animation of you putting the fuse in. So here we are, we're at the LPU control center, and we got 4 fuses in, so we can now start the LPU reactor. Enjoy the cutscene. In fact, the cutscene looks pretty much the same, so let's go ahead and skip to the more interesting part. Actually, if you don't know, this is the new LPU reactor. This is codenamed the LPU Mark II. The reason why we replaced it is for the new fuse functionality for 1.2. And here's a fun fact. With the new LPU reactor, we were planning on adding a new LPU chamber, but we pushed that feature to a later build of the SRB. But one thing I can write home about is the new, you guessed it, the LPU status board. We added the temperature system and proper output logs, so people can now overheat or cool down the LPU as desired, and offer some gameplay mechanics that beta 1.1 and 1.0 does not have. In fact, let's go ahead and showcase one big feature is the Mega Fan. And I don't know why the textures didn't load, but the Mega Fan works now, and I can cool down the LPU if I were to desire, if I were to see fit. But we're not gonna do that now because I want to show you guys one last thing, which is thermal runaway. And I can just turn on the walkie-talkie so I can get some updates, up to the minute update for the LPU reactor. But yeah, other than that, this is it for beta 1.2. We added the new temperature system, we improved the overall looks of it, we improved the lighting, and added a new scenario, which is thermal runaway, which I will showcase to you when the LPU is overheating. So let's just cut to that right now. Oh no, with the addition with the new walkie-talkie, as you can see, the interface looked really different. It got notifications saying, oh no, the LPU is approaching unsafe temperature and we need to do something about it. Oh no, the LPU has reaching overheating temperature, and take a look at the effects out there. I'm pretty sure it doesn't look good at all, and I'm scared to see what's gonna happen. Oh no, the LPU is severely overheating. We need to turn on the fan, but I can't because I enabled a function that allows the temperature to increase rapidly, and oh boy. Yep. The LPU doesn't look good at all, and well, yeah. There it is. There's a new thermal runaway. Now I need to look for that manual. In fact, this is the most tricky part because there is no hints. So you have to go look around for the manual yourself because, well, feelings. Nah, I'm just kidding, but let's take a look and find the manual legitimately without using no clips or hacks or anything like that. Hopefully the book is there so I can terminate the LPU to show you the effects. I forgot to tell you that there was a new elevator sound effect, but I'm not gonna talk over that. Speaking of which, there was a thing called a Game Gear. It's where you gravity coil and speed coil, but that was removed, so we have to do it manually. Walk. That would be fun, right? Now first, the manual should be here somewhere. Not here. How about in the Subterranean Central? There it is! Wow, that was lucky. There it is. I put the manual, but I'm not gonna reset my character to start the LPU. That's boring. Let's go ahead and walk back down like a normal human being. And it's yelling at me, saying that the LPU is currently and all that stuff. However, the thermal runaway is not done, and it's still not done to this day. But I want to show you the termination cutscene. Yeah, the walkie-talkie was more prominent than before, but so let's go to sub level 2 and hopefully we're able to terminate the LPU on time. Well, not on time because the other effect, like the ability of not terminating the LPU at that time, well, that wasn't done. But we're gonna work on that in the future versions of the SRB. Yeah, it's overheating already. But image tricks. So those are like images and tricks here. In fact, this is what the book looked like. Look at this. Like star. Great work, but we're not done yet. Almost there, since I enabled the fan 1 instead of fan 2. But hopefully we're capable of terminating the LPU. And we need to enable Alpha Tech, which is exhaust fans. One more to go. And we need to disable Alpha Tech, which is a gravity shield. And there we go. Now we can terminate the LPU. You ready for this, people? Let's do it. And here's a cutscene. So yes, that's the thermal runaway or the termination sequence cutscene. Now remember, because this is beta 1.2, the collaboration update, the ability to restart the LPU reactor has not been added until beta 1.2.1. And as you can see, some advertisements for the combustion update, which is coming really soon actually. As you can see, yeah, there's no such thing to restart the LPU. Once you terminate it, it's over. Yeah, so that's it for beta 1.2, the collaboration update. Now let's go ahead and talk for a bit. Starting with beta 1.2, we have released the update for everyone around July. When we released beta 1.2, yes, we had around 80 players playing the game at once. But it wasn't until October of 2020 that our game was featured on the Learn and Explore sort, or the Learn and Explore category. But do keep in mind that beta 1.2 wasn't really designed for the Learn and Explore players, but at least we added the feature to restart the LPU during a shutdown. But we can do more than that. Our team was working on the next major update for the SRB, beta 1.3, the experimentation update. In fact, let's take a look at beta 1.3, the experimentation right now. Hello and welcome to beta 1.3, the experimentation update. Right off the bat, the intro looks the same, but there are some new changes with this update. The first changes is with the visuals and all that good stuff. So after the intro is done, we'll take a look at the brand new user interface. As you can see with beta 1.3, this update was focused primarily for the Learn and Explore category. Now, why did we improve the user interface? Because the last interface was really clunky and doesn't really look good at all for players alike. In fact, we improved so much of the interface. We improved the play interface. So this is what the play interface looks like. It's a lot more informative and a lot more simple. So for example, we're going to click on Sector A. I'm greeted about all the information what Sector A is and what it has, Sector B and all that good stuff. Main elevators and the surface. The options interface looks very different and we have more settings for players to adjust. So first and foremost, what you have noticed is that we got a new medkit. And right off the bat, we got a new notifications because, well, we improved the user interface across the game, including the whole menu interface. We got the same doors from beta 1.1, I believe, and we got the walkie-talkie and that good stuff. So, starting with beta 1.3, it's all about researching and interacting with labs. And yeah, we got the new Subterranean Brickway, or the new sector signs. But starting with this update, we want to focus on interactivity. We got the good old peachhead research and plant research and I think it needs a little bit more sugar, but and there it is. This is lab A2, Fuse Crystal Research and Development, which is now the Fuse Workshop. Now as you can see, it looks really different now. The lab looks very small compared to the later 1.3 builds. So if you don't know, let's go ahead and claim a workbench. And there you go, I own this personal workbench. I can go into the storage room and obtain a sample here. And as you can see, with that, we're able to move around or the gear like that. In fact, our team have done an amazing job with beta 1.3 and so on and so forth. We're capable of adding interactivity to the game and continue with this transition for the years to come. But as you can see, we're very proud of adding the new crystal mechanic to the game. So let's go ahead and make a sample fuse with the new screwdriver and the tweezer tool. So what I can do is I can just click on those little things, those yellow things that guides me on what to do with the screwdriver. And this only shows on the client, not on the server, because we believe that it's not yours. So you don't own the workbench, so you don't have the right to touch anything on said player's workbench. In fact, let's go ahead and remove those, and as you can see, it reveals a nice container that I can use the tweezers to obtain the crystal. Like that. Here it is. Now I want to show you something that's really cool, so let me just place that there. This is my crystal master machine. Now if you don't know, we decided to be a little bit more creative and let's put the other crystal in the other container. You can do that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one knows about this, but you can put your crystals in other containers or in other empty containers, which is pretty cool, I would say. And you didn't know, the the image for the hotbar also changed to identify that you're holding a fuse here or a crystal here. So when I let go, it goes to normal. So let's go ahead and start making a new fuse for the Crystal Master for beta 1.3. Other than that, after that's done, we can go ahead and take a closer look at the new edition for beta 1.3, because the new Crystal Master isn't the only new feature. And as you can see, we're able to make a fuse. But in the later versions of the SLP, there will be more steps to just making a fuse like that, which I can't tell you because those are secret. I don't want to spoil the fun. So I can just empty the containers off my desk, my table, and continue to go. And you can remove own stuff from your workbench. And here's the funny thing. It plays a sort of jingle effect because we wanted to make it a little bit more fun, that if you have opened fuse container or the crystal container, they can use the tweezers to grab it from your desk. I mean, we want to add some little bit of fun, you know, other than just having it completely wipe off from your workstation. So that is a quick look at the Fuse Crystal Research and Development, which is now the Fuse Workshop in later builds of 1.3. So let's go ahead and oh yeah, we got the new intersection feature. Remember the infamous stairs, the stair debacle? We removed it and converted it to a nice intersection because it doesn't really make sense to add stairs here. I don't know why my my previous developer that no longer works for this project was thinking, but well, you know, it's just improvements, you know. And we got some new elevators. Yeah, we added new elevators to this game now. It looks a lot modern and a lot more simple than before. And a lot more stable too. Why do we care about stabilities for an elevator? Well, because this is the only way to get from point A to point B. And we want to make sure the elevator is stable, so people just don't start saying, hey, the elevator is broken. And can you believe it? There's sounds and the door closes when you don't use it for a while. And yeah, we got the fire extinguishers that do not work in this build, but don't worry about that. So we got the sub-level 2 sign. We also did some improvements to the lighting to make sure everything works, and we got some new signs here. It's pretty good. It's pretty cool stuff. Many things has changed for beta 1 from beta 1.0 to 1.3. We got the new fuse silence here. And look at that. I got lucky 4 on like 1.2 where I had to go down and repair it, but I got lucky 4, so let's go ahead and start the LPU. Now with this particular startup this particular startup, we want to improve the user experience, so enjoy the new cutscene and music with it too. Oh, and by the way, you can be able to skip the cutscene if you desire, but I'll let the cutscene play. So enjoy the startup. Alright, so that's the new cinematic startup experience for the SRP Beta 1.3. With Beta 1.3, we want to improve the user's satisfaction, so we added a feature called mouse tips, where if you hover over an item, you're able to get a small hint of what it does. So for example, I want to enable a exhaust fan, but what does the exhaust fan do? Toggle to help dissipate heat, and we can enable that in the containment door. So with this build of 1.3, this is the current version of what you guys have of Beta 1.3. We did do some improvements to the quality with version 1.3.1, which is called the Holiday Update. We participated in the holiday tradition of converting DSRB to a fun holiday spirit type of game, where you're capable of delivering fuses or wrapping fuses in a wrapping gift and send it on its way to see Santa and to receive gifts. And for lucky people out there, they're able to obtain both the holiday cookie and, if for those of you who are unlucky, the coal. But other than that, this is Beta 1.3. We have the same temperature system. We also did under the hood improvements to stability and performing the game to make sure the game is stable for players and clients. But one thing for sure, with Beta 1.3 being the current version for DSRB, I want to take a moment and talk about the future versions for DSRB and how it's important. So yes, what you just saw was the old versions of DSRB and how we came a long way from Beta 1.0 to Beta 1.3. But before I move on to the next topic, I want to talk about the reason why we went back memory lane to take a look at Beta 1.0 and all that old stuff. Remember about Discover Aspire 2020, where I announced Discover Archives, where the old versions of Discover Aquatic Research Facility and the upcoming Discover Computer Core will reside. Those were the only two games that would be added to Discover Archives. But we wanted to expand that even further. So starting today with Beta 1.0, Beta 1.1, Beta 1.2, and Beta 1.3, they will be available on the Discover Archives group for all members to enjoy or take a look back at memory lane. In fact, we believe to have them out and ready for Discover Archives between June and July. We believe in archiving games to preserve history and fun moments together. This also enables newcomers to experience and to see how much has changed from last year and so on and so forth. So this is it for the Reliving the Moment section of the Subterranean event. But we're not done yet. Now, let's talk about our next update for DSRB, starting Beta 1.4. During the Discover Inspire event I held in October, we talked about how Beta 1.4 was going to change everything for DSRB. I also talked about how Beta 1.3 was using a very old and convoluted framework that won't play well with Beta 1.4. With Beta 1.4, we completely redesigned and completely reworked the framework to make it better for the future. Not only by redoing the framework improves longevity for code, but we have done a massive stability and performance improvements across the game. Now with performance, let's take a look. This is Beta 1.3.4, the latest and greatest 1.3 release and update we have pushed out. You may notice that standing at Sector A, facing north, you may notice that we were losing frame rates here. We came around like 40 to 30. But could you imagine how many players were experiencing that frame drop? Now let's take a look at Beta 1.4. As you can see, full 60 frames a second with high graphics, full details, and it's smoother and it's pleasant for players to enjoy working and playing with the facility that have a higher frame rate compared to our older versions. Performance improvements isn't the only key factor for Beta 1.4. What we're going to do with Beta 1.4 is something big. You know, combining the best of Beta 1.2 and the best of Beta 1.3 in both worlds. The collaboration update enables players from all around the world to get together and collaborate to ensure the light photon unit reactor is within stable temperatures. Beta 1.3 announced a brand new laboratory experiment where players can have fun experimenting and creating their own unique crystal fuels for the LP reactor. 1.4 is going to improve on that. But what should we call Beta 1.4? Today, I am officially announcing Beta 1.4, the maintenance update. The maintenance update focuses on many key factors relating to all things maintenance. For example, the coolant pumps, the new restock technology, the new maintenance tasks for players all around the facility that need to complete, working together to ensure that our light photon unit reactor is stable at all costs, and interacting with new objects in games such as the new areas that we're going to show you today. So without further ado, let's take a sneak peek look at our development version of Beta 1.4, the maintenance update. Enjoy! Hello and welcome to the new Beta 1.4 update that our team has been working on for the past few months or so. We are very excited to be announcing and showcasing you guys what's new and what's to come for Beta 1.4. Right off the bat, if you haven't seen our trailer, we have redesigned many aspects around the facility. And not only that, we improve the performance of this game going forward. For example, if I were to click on play, you'll notice how quickly and how fast the interface opens up, ready for players to start playing DSRB. We also tweaked the user interface to make it a lot more modern and not using what we had before, such as the options interface. We curved around the user interface to make it a lot more friendlier and have it pop out for players alike. But without further ado, let's start and spawn at Sector A. Here we are at Sector A, and you may notice that yes, this is a development build of Beta 1.4. So anything you see here is not final and will change in the future build. Now, as I talked about in Discover Inspire 2020, Beta 1.4 ushers in a brand new user experience by reworking the new framework to make it a lot more faster and a lot more elegant for players alike. Now, the first things first is the new doors that our team have built. It also has a new sound that sounds a lot more appropriate for a sliding door, instead of the generic drawer opening and closing thing that I don't understand. But that's not the only thing we added for this game. We've added and tweaked the user interface. For example, if I were to get a notification, such as like if I can't use the medkit, you may notice I've got a new notification on the top right. Now if I have more of these, it will continue to stack up instead of having one be replaced by another. Now, starting with the doors, we added proximity prompts to make it easier for mobile players, tablet players, and players all around the world to interact with the SRB with proximity prompt. It's a lot more easier and a lot more elegant because I have a speed coil, right? Traditionally, you have to unencrypt your speed coil just to click on the door to open. But with proximity prompts, you don't have to anymore. You can just open the door without unencrypting your speed coil. Now let's start off with the new sector called Delivery Complex. This used to be called the Cargo and Delivery Complex. but it's a lot more than just that. It is now the delivery complex. Right off the bat, we have completely, well, almost half of redesigning of the whole experience here. Such as we have the whole crate here for the dedicated for medkits, wrenches for LPU and maintenance, fuse boxes, and the hazmat suits here. We have improved the inventory storage area, as you can see here. We want to make sure we have all the memorabilia here and not removed, such as the old Subterranean signs and the good old Subterranean research base from Verify Incorporated. But in the future, since it's the development build of 1.4, these are your storage areas for the crates out there. Now, why do we do this? Here's an example. Now, the code for the restock hasn't been added yet, but if you, for example, let's just say you're all out of the medkits crate, you can go and check out inventory from behind the inventory storage to see, oh, do we have? And if you have a crate there that you can go in, click on it, and what you can do with the crate is carry the crate out of the inventory storage and place it on the rack where it belongs. If not, if we don't have any more left, then I'll show you what we can do after that. Now, with the topic of the restock feature, I want to talk about how people were sending feedback on how to improve the restock experience. Now, for example, let me just get all those medkits around the facility. Because, well, I want to make sure I'm not injured doing my job, and I want to be careful of what I do. Now, let's say I have acquired all the medkits there. Now you may be asking, great, got all the medkits there, but what do you do with those packaged medkits? I know how to restock them. But here's the thing. 70% of players who play the SRB are completely new to this experience and they don't know the basic game mechanic for the restock feature. Now, for example, I can get those medkits here, those packaged medkits, and now what we did with the packaged medkits and for all the gears in the upcoming future is if you were to hold out your packaged material like the medkit, there's no hints or there's no guides to where do I put it. But we're sorry for that. As you can see, when I pulled out the packaged medkit, you may notice that there's visible indicators letting you know that, hey, this is where you should be putting the packaged medkits. This makes it easier because now people can see and identify which givers are empty and how to replace them. And like as before, just simply touch it and you'll successfully restock the medkit. Now, obviously, there will be an option in the options menu to turn off hints so it won't get in your way all the time. Now, that's done with the new restock feature, and I want to talk about a new giver or new tools that's coming for 1.4. Now, you may be seeing there's fire extinguishers all around the facility, and you may be thinking, I wish I can acquire that. Starting with beta 1.4, you can now have your fire extinguisher in your inventory. The fire extinguishers are really important for the SRB to ensure that whatever's on fire should be taken under control, and it shouldn't be like, cause a wildfire and the SRB. And as always, if it's empty and try to click on it, you'll get a notification saying there's no fire extinguisher and you need to restock it. But I'll show you what to use for the fire extinguishers later. So that is the first noteworthy change, is the new givers update, the new restock, and so much more related to the restock. The next thing I want to show you is the new area in the observation deck. With 1.3, when we announced the new observation deck, we announced the offices are coming, but offices hasn't been worked on for beta 1.3. starting with beta 1.4, offices would be a thing. Now, right off the bat, the offices is still under construction and will be decked out with many interactive objects when the time comes. Now, you may be asking, what am I supposed to do with the office? Is it going to be like Darth? Is it going to be like exclusively role-playing? No. We plan to have all the offices here to be completely interactive, with computers, copy machines, and so much more. I will show you and I'll talk about the computers and the offices later on. But now, let's take a look at the sub-level elevators. You may not know, we have completely redesigned the sector sign to make it easier for players to understand. Here is the new sub-level directories that makes it easier for people to take a look at. And you may notice that we have sub-level 3, LPU maintenance and access, but I'll talk about that soon. So with the elevators, yes, we have completely rescripted the elevators, and now all the buttons here work as expected. And as always, we went through our vigorous quality testing to make sure the elevators is working and bug-free. And also, yes, the elevator button works. So let's go to sub-level 2 and take a look. Sub-level 2 has some interesting changes that I will talk about when we get there, obviously. But we heard user feedback on how to improve sub-level 2. You may notice that sub-level 2 is now Operation Center for the LPU. And you may notice that there's no LPU bricks rate here that was there for 1.2. I'll give you a hint, sub-level 3. But other than that, if you haven't seen already, we have modified the control or the operation center. That means we also modernized the interface. We've also made it more industrial looking instead of like having bright blue action colors everywhere. So yes, we got the new interface here and the new and easier to read view status modules here. Now remember, this is the development build of beta 1.4. And things what you're about to see will change in the future. But I can just go ahead and prime the LPU and start up the reactor. Now, the startup is also being reworked on and half of it are complete. The cutscene will not be present in this build, but it will be present when beta 1.4 reaches its deadline for having it to be released to the public. Now, with the new interfaces, we made a lot more modern and a lot more easier to read and understand. In fact, this is what SubterOS Server Edition 2021 looks like. And when the reactor is fully started up, we can see its status in all of its glory. But while the LPU is starting up, we can see we modernize how the Mega Fan controls work and all that good stuff. We've also added those modules here that are coming very soon to beta 1.4. And a brand new chamber control switches that are easier to read and understand. And yes, you may notice that we have some new interfaces that makes it a lot more better for you to understand, especially if you're seeing from far away. So there's no need to click on it just to, get a closer look because, well, you can actually see the information from right here without clicking on the screen just to get a closer look to it. Anyway, you can see the LPU is fully starting up. We also did our best to mimic and to copy the old code from the startup and implementing it to the new one, which we have done successfully. Now right off the bat, you may notice that we have a new border. It changes color depending on the mood or the condition for the LPU to happen. As for the time of recording in this version of the SRB, the temperatures in all of the GUI for the light photon unit conditions are not yet working on this build. However, we've also redesigned the Subterranean research base status, formerly known as facility status. We got the fuse box status, which I'll talk about that later. we are working on the Subterranean and the new and improved LPU logs. So this is it for the new and improved LPU Operations Center coming to 1.4. Now let's get back on track and talk about where did the LPU Briggsway go. And I give you a hint, Sublevel 3. So let's go to Sublevel 3 now and take a closer look at what Sublevel 3 has to offer. When we were working on the LPU Briggsway, we wanted to make it big and more looking, industrial looking for maintenance for the LPU and beyond. But with Sublevel 3, we completely redesigned the LPU Briggsway of what we had for Beta 1.3 and Beta 1.2. So I'm happy for you to take a look at the new and improved LPU Briggsway, which is now on its own sublevel. Right off the bat, we got some friendly signs that on my left is the maintenance area and on my right is the LPU voltage regulator. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the new maintenance area. So yes, we have completely and we are still redesigning the new area for maintenance work. And take a look at that. We see boxes from the delivery complex that people can use to restock empty hazmat givers, which I'll show you that in a bit. But this area is not yet complete at the time of recording and this build of the SRB. But we will deck this whole place out with interactive items and new maintenance tools for players to enjoy. Now with the new changing room, we have completely redesigned the changing room. So it's not like a carbon copy from the LPU Briggsway. No, this is a complete redesign. So right here is the new hazmat suit that I can obtain. But you may notice I have a hazmat suit in my inventory, so I don't need that. And this is the lockers I can obtain my clothes. And this is the new changing room with more rooms for you to change to your clothes and stuff like that. Also, Demi is here for now because this is the development build of Beta 1.4. Demi won't be here on the final release of Beta 1.4, so Demi is here to see and to calculate the height for specific items. So this is the new changing room, and we are happy to hear your feedback of what you guys think of the new changing room. Now that is the new changing station, and we also added restrooms here for the convenience sake and for role-playing purposes, you know. So that is the LPU maintenance area for Sublevel 3. Now what is that on my right, where I talked about the LPU voltage regulator? The LPU voltage regulator will be used for players to monitor and to adjust how many voltage the LPU generates and distribute it throughout the facility. At the time of recording of this, it's not yet complete, but we will update you on its progress and what you can do with the new LPU voltage regulator. Now that's done and dandy, let's take a look at our, yes, we got a brand new LPU airlock that we are still working on right now. Right now it's not working for this build, but I'll take a closer look at what it has inside. This is the new LPU airlock. It's a lot more detailed and a lot more spacious than before. But let's take a look at the new LPU chamber. Okay, you guys ready for this? 1, 2, 3. And there it is. This is a brand new LPU chamber, complete with a brand new LPU bricks leading directly to the inside of the LPU. In fact, this is so much big compared to Beta 1.2 and Beta 1.3 combined. Players can come down here and do some maintenance tasks. You may notice that there are pipes here that are coming to Beta 1.4, where in such cases the pipes may burst, causing you to do some maintenance work. We're enabling players all around the world to play DSRB and to perform maintenance tasks that such things would happen, such as broken objects, the pipes bursting, and you need to use your repair tools to repair or to prevent such catastrophe events from happening. Now you may notice that this is a really big and really huge reactor chamber. And speaking about the reactor chamber, the light gens that we use for the LPU, guess what? You can now get on top or climb or to get on here for the LPU light gens and to do some maintenance work in the future and have this beautiful nice shot that people can enjoy. But we're just getting started with beta 1.4 development, and we are very excited to see what you guys think for beta 1.4. Please leave us some feedback and we can do whatever we can to improve beta 1.4's performance and reliability. And also any ideas that we can implement for beta 1.4 development from the here on out. So that is the new LPU chamber that goes well with the new LPU light photon unit that we announced in beta 1.2, the collaboration update. But we're not done yet. There are more features and I'll get to that right now. So here we are back at the LPU Operations Center, and oh no, we are losing. There are some blown fuse boxes around the facility, Sector D, Sector C, and Sector B. Well, let's go and talk about the new fuse boxes. But starting with the maintenance update, we want to improve and to add more game mechanics for players to enjoy, other than looking at and staring at the LPU reactor. But with that in mind, we want to improve the user experience when it comes to maintenance tasks. We obviously want to make it easier for newcomers to understand how it works and what to do when such issue were to occur. Since we already saw that there are many blown fuse boxes, we can go ahead and perform our first maintenance task. It's to repair the fuse boxes. Now, when people all around in the LPU Operations Center, they can notify with the new and improved walkie-talkie. That's right, we have completely redesigned and we thought out the entire procedures for the walkie-talkie. In fact, by default, the walkie-talkie comes off, but with a simple click, the walkie-talkie has sprung to life. And right off the bat, there are some new features there. We call it the RADCOM. We got the 0.00, 99%, and 10S. Now, 0.00 is the countdown on how many things you can transmit. For example, I can just say, hello, world. And right off the bat, any close vicinity for whoever has a walkie-talkie on can see that I said hello world, and it says who said hello world, which is me. That is the countdown to prevent abuse and spam for the RADCOM. 10S is the current range of how the walkie-talkie should perform. With the press of E, I can increase the range to the maximum of 250. But beware, higher the radio bandwidth is, it quickly eats up your battery. Yeah, that's right. The yellow thing, that's your battery percentage. And you don't want that to go to 0, because if it goes to 0, you need to charge it up. You need to recharge your walkie-talkie. So yes, your walkie-talkie now have a battery instead of being on for quite some time. Now that is done with the new walkie-talkie, let's talk about and go back to the topic of the fuse box maintenance, or the first maintenance job of this beta 1.4 build. Now, since the Sector B fuse boxes are blown, you can see that we don't have lights on. It is dark. It's scary. And I do not like it here. But don't fret, because with the 1.4 maintenance update, any people around the facility can perform maintenance tasks to ensure that everything is working. So as you can see here, the lights are off because one of the fuse boxes here are broken because due to a regulator failure. Now, how do I perform maintenance with this fuse box in question? All I need to do is get close to it, and with the power of proximity prompt, I can either hold down the E key or just hold down the prompt to begin working. Now, in order to begin working on the fuse box, I need to be holding out my rent here, and I can begin working. Now, for the time being, and for this build of beta 1.4, we are still working on improving the interactivity for repairing, and there's like no animations yet and no interactivity, but this is a short demo of what players can do for the maintenance update. In fact, and there you go. I just changed my walkie-talkie was enabled. I was able to get a transmission saying the fuse box has been repaired, and now Sector B's lighting is all fixed. Now, just repairing the fuse box alone won't be just it. In fact, what we worked on with the new fuse box is the repair won't be all peaches and cream, meaning that it will completely repair. There will be moments that either you mess up doing the repair, that you could lose health, damage the fuse box, or worst case scenario, cause it to go on fire. And please, I hope that never happens, but it will happen for some of you. And when it's on fire, no one wants to see that, because if the fuse box is on fire, the chances for repairing it may be slim. Now, it appears to be taking a long time to repair the fuse box, but as you can see, I was able to repair the Subterranean hall lighting. So we got some lights in the Subterranean hall. I'm gonna cut off the fuse box here, but we're gonna introduce the new coolant pumps here. That's right. Starting with beta 1.4, we're gonna add functioning coolant pumps here for people to deliver coolant from Sector D all the way to the LPU. However, with this build now, it's not yet operatable. However, we will let you guys know when it will continue to work. Now, it turns out that I'm very lucky because I haven't seen any blown fuse boxes that are on flames, which I really want to show you guys, but unfortunately, I think I'm too lucky today. But when the fuse boxes are blown and it's on fire, you cannot repair it, because here's the thing: if you try to repair a fuse box is on fire, you will lose health, and you have to use the medkit to restore your health. But with the fire extinguisher, you can use it to extinguish the burning fuse boxes and perform maintenance tasks there. But here's the thing: the fire extinguisher you're holding right now is not infinite. There will be moments where the fire extinguisher may be empty and you need to throw it away. So, with this build of 1.4, you can see those trash cans around, or there's bins around this facility. These can be used to throw away items that are completely empty, such as this empty fire extinguisher. There you go. That's how you throw away an object. We are working on the new recycling feature in trash cans, so if it's full, you can take out the trash and go to the delivery complex and throw it away over there, which could potentially be used to have energy, maybe, who knows. But I would like to thank you guys for watching the sneak peek preview for beta 1.4. Now, as you just saw with the preview with beta 1.4, we are bringing maintenance to the front and center for the SRB. 1.4 is going to be a huge update for both collaboration and for experimentation as well, with functioning fuse boxes that you need to perform maintenance or to improve its longevity, working together to ensure everything in the facility is restocked, and more. We are very excited to be working on beta 1.4 and have it released for everyone in the upcoming months. That is a closer look at the beta 1.4, the maintenance update. Maintain, repair, interact. Wow, that is so much that we talked about today for the Subterranean event. You know, it's been 1 year since we released Subterranean Research Base Beta 1.0, the Foundation release, on this day. And I wanted to take a moment and talk about the development of the SRB. I'm gonna give you a sneak peek of Beta 1.5. Beta 1.5 marks our halfway to release 1.10. Release 1.10 is our projected goal of releasing the SRB fully as a full game instead of in beta. But with beta 1.5, we need to do something a little special to it. We already worked on the maintenance, the experimentation, the collaboration, but we need to work on the gameplay mechanic even more. There are many unfinished areas around the facility that needs to be done. But here's the thing, with beta 1.5, we need to find a unique name for beta 1.5. I could go all day and call it the beta 1.5 the Sci-Fi update, which doesn't really sound good on paper. Or beta 1.5 the water update, which, no, this is too oceanic and nope, we're not gonna talk about that. Beta 1.5 the amazing update. But here's the thing, in all seriousness though, as today is a special day for the SRB for today's event, we're announcing that beta 1.5 will be officially known as the combustion update. That's right, beta 1.5 is the combustion update. But I've heard a lot of rumors around the whole 1.5 debacle is finally true. But 1.5 is not just going to be a meltdown update. It's going to be a lot more interactive, a lot more experimentation, and a lot more fun. Since we're still working on beta 1.4, I can't really show you a real prototype of what 1.5 would look like. But with 1.5, our goal is to add Meltdown, which is not going to be called Meltdown, a complete revamp to Thermal Runaway, LPU thermals, generators, electrical systems, and so much more. We are very excited to begin working on this update when the time comes. And we are very excited to be finishing up with beta 1.4, the maintenance update. Wow, what a day we had today. We've announced and went back in time of reliving the moments of what the SRB looked like before, and announcing that all of the old versions be available on Discover Archives. We also took a look at what beta 1.4 is going to become, the maintenance update. And today we announced the sneak peek, or a short sneak peek of what 1.5 is going to become. It's amazing to see how many players are playing DSRB and leaving feedback on how we can improve the game for the long run. DSRB being supported for 10 years straight, we want to ensure the best gameplay experience for newcomers alike. I would like to thank everyone who made it today on today's event and celebrating the first year of DSRB opening to the public. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and we are looking forward for what next year would bring us for DSRB and for our group ahead. Thank you all for coming today. Have a safe and inspiring day.